These albums have been completely blown out of proportion, overrated. Some of them are even terrible. This one's okay. Number 12, The Piper at the Gates of Dawn by Pink Floyd. Look, Pink Floyd's my favorite band, and this is one of the foundations of one of the greatest musical legacies in history. I do believe that Syd Barrett deserves respect. But as a cohesive album, this album can be an incredibly tough pill to swallow. I mean, for every brilliant flash of psychedelic pop, you have to wade through a chaotic mess of art school experimentation and just these rambling tracks about gnomes and bicycles. And, you know, of course it's an essential piece for Floyd, you know, in their history and their legacy, but let's be honest, I mean, it's a chaotic hit or miss blueprint for the masterpieces that they would drop a decade later, you know, into the next year. Number 11, Aqualung, Jethro Tull. Look, to be fair, the title track is an absolute masterpiece of heavy blues, classic rock. You know, I love it. I absolutely love it. It earns its legendary status. The problem is that the rest of the album exists. So once you get past that killer track, you're trapped in a sort of a confused concept piece. I think where Ian Anderson tries to make the flute look like some sort of, you know, I don't know, rock instrument. And it's not. It's just not. It belongs at the Renaissance Fair. You know, it's overly wordy rants. Not a fan. Number 10, Master of Puppets, Metallica. Metal revisionist history. I don't know why some people now love to pretend this was such a massive cultural milestone, when in reality, in the 80s, it was a niche underground noise fest. It was completely ignored by the mainstream because nobody outside of a suburban basement wanted to hear 8 tracks of repetitive chugging, and Lars Ulrich's drumming is aggressively basic. I mean, the album is just bloated to the point of self-parody. James Hetfield's vocals barking, you know, like some menacing cartoon villain. I just don't get it. I mean, it's okay, I guess. It's not that big a deal. Number 9, Ramones by the Ramones. The Ramones built a decade-long career out of the single painfully stupid joke that this is the ground zero of their monotony. You know, 14 tracks that are fundamentally identical. The album relies entirely on the exact same 3 chords, that buzzsaw guitar tone, caveman lyrics. You know, it's not a punk revolution. It's like a 30-minute nursery rhyme for people who find the basic concept of changing musical keys too intellectually demanding. Number 8, Hounds of Love, Kate Bush. You guys are really getting me here, okay? A pretentious record that gets a total free pass because the critics mistake bizarre for brilliant. You know, it's 80s synth pop stuff. It's completely tedious, unlistenable. I don't get it. I don't understand why this album gets so much love. It's aged like milk, and it's theatrical art pop. You know, oh, it's witchy. Oh, it's edgy. You know, again, historical revisionism. Nobody cared about this album in the 80s. Number 7, The Joshua Tree, U2. The absolute apex of stadium rock narcissism. U2 officially stopped being a band, and they sort of morphed into a pack of self-appointed global prophets. I'm just so sick of Bono and his melodramatic chest beating, wailing about deserts and the nameless streets and, like he's some profound prophet or something. He's just a multimillionaire who's having an ego trip. And, all this donating for charity and stuff for his tax exemption. He's a big hypocrite like Roger Waters and John Lennon were. Number 6, Born to Run, Bruce Springsteen. Bruce Springsteen is a sweaty, small-town loser who desperately needs to buy a map and leave New Jersey. I mean, I live in a small town. I was born in a small town. But this is terrible. Bruce, how does this guy get popular? And they refer to him as the boss. The boss of what? Terrible albums, awful songs. Just his vocals are terrible. It's just this. I don't get it. It's blue collar cosplay to me. For these people who want to feel deep and rugged, and they're really not. They're just liberals. Not to get political, but yeah. Number 5, Nevermind by Nirvana. This is the record that supposedly saved rock music in the 90s, but it actually murdered it by replacing the talented musicians. Now I'm not a fan of hair metal and never was, but I mean, here you are, a bunch of, young 20-something-year-old flannel-clad multimillionaires complaining about how hard it is to be rich and be a celebrity. And, Nevermind's just this slick, heavily compressed pop-punk album. It's like recycled Pixies riffs, nonsensical lyrics. It's like a 14-year-old's diary entries. Kurt Cobain screaming, his head off, and I don't know. This band accidentally birthed Creed. That's all I'm going to say. Number 4, London Calling, The Clash. The Clash. The only band that matters. And rock journalists just love to shine their shoes. They love The Clash and London Calling. These Pitchfork and NME and all these websites just, this is the best album of all time. This is the greatest album ever. The Clash. It's a hypocritical, self-righteous collection of radio-friendly crap, wrapped in a faux rebel leather jacket. That's all it is. It's just garbage. Sorry. Number 3, The Velvet Underground and Nico by The Velvet Underground and Nico. This is the ultimate pretension test for hipsters who want you to think that they're intellectuals. And we've all heard the exhausted cliche that everybody who bought this album started a band. Well, too bad none of those people bothered to learn how to tune a guitar or sing in key. Lou Reed droning monotonously like a bored addict over John Cale's screeching avant-garde noise. That's not art. It's like the musical equivalent of a terrible student film that you pretend to enjoy so people don't think you're stupid. Number 2, Pet Sounds, The Beach Boys. Look, I like this album. I really do. But it's widely worshipped as this masterpiece. And really, it's just a collection of sort of fragile, over-orchestrated surf music. I mean, Brian Wilson traded this sort of catchy, fun summer anthems for a depressing wall of sound. And I love the Beach Boys. I love their harmonies. Again, I've got this album if Only God Knows is a masterpiece song. I really enjoy that song. And I do like Wouldn't It Be Nice, you know. But this is sort of like a man-child crying into his theremin while his bandmates wonder why they're not singing about cars and girls anymore. You know, it's just overrated. It truly is. Number one, Sgt. Pepper, the Beatles. I mean, don't get it twisted. Sgt. Pepper is genuinely a great, highly enjoyable album. I do believe it is a masterpiece. And it's packed with incredible songs. I love A Day in the Life. It's got brilliant sonic experimentation. It changed the game forever. There's no denying that. But rock critics have spent half a century gaslighting the public into believing that this is the untouchable holy grail of human achievement. And that's a delusion. Because by crowning this overhyped variety show album as the greatest album of all time, you know, these critics force us to worship sort of out-of-tune horns and circus sound effects and music hall whimsy. Never did like whimsy. As if it's some sort of divine revelation, you know, completely inflating experimental pop. Look, it's a pioneering, great, progressive, psychedelic album. I like it. I really do. I'll say I love this album. But it is not the greatest album of all time. That's why it's on this list, because it is overrated as the greatest album of all time. Give me a break. This album doesn't touch Close to the Edge. I don't think it touches Animals. I mean, back in 1967 when it came out, it was unbelievable, I'm sure. But it's not the greatest album of all time. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video and my crazy ranting, and you know, a lot of this was hyperbole, but whatever. This is fun. I enjoy this stuff. I'll do some more overrated albums at some point. And then I'll do some more of my top 12 of each year and all that. But anyways, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, like it, subscribe, share, all that fun stuff. And until next time, you guys take a look at this bug behind me and take care.